yeah, we are definitely talking about the knees today. So let's go first into why physical therapy for me, and I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So in some way, shape, or form, my life has involved physical therapy since I was in 8th grade. So very long time. If any of you have kids or you had to do it yourself, you would know that you had some kind of shadowing experience where you essentially go out in the community and you follow around different individuals in different careers. Well, oddly enough, all of mine were busy. I couldn't get into the original cosmetology that I wanted to do or anything like that. So I ended up following our local physical therapist. And it was just a 2-day experience. And I remember when I got home, funny enough, I told my parents, I was like, it's just not for me. I was figure skating at the time and just starting to get into track and field and soccer. And I thought I was going into cosmetology and I was going to do figure skaters' hair and makeup at the Olympics. So talk about 8th grade dreams there. But the following year is kind of when everything, as Jen likes to say, I got pushed out of the car when I was competing in track and field. I was a triple jumper. And essentially we were practicing in the hallway, a nice tile hallway, and I overshot the mat. So what happened was I came down and my leg completely gave. And by the time I even rolled from my belly to my back, my knee was the size of a watermelon, and it's just excruciating pain. So at that time, because I was only a freshman in high school, I didn't know anybody that had ever gotten hurt or had an injury like that. My parents were healthy. I'd never seen them go through any kind of surgery or physical therapy. It was brand new, so to say it was devastating was an understatement. We were just around the corner from states, and that pretty much was the end of my season. So kind of fast forward a little bit, I went to an orthopedic who told me that, Raven, you've done a number, is essentially how he said it. And surgery was the only option that I was given. So I was not discussed about physical therapy. There was a lot of people have heard the term prehab. There was no prehab. It was 2 weeks later in the operating room. And when they got in, it was meniscus tears, ACL tears, contusions to the bone. You get the picture. I really did a number on it. So fast forward again, I'm at my now post-op visit, and my surgeon looked at me and he said, "You're going to need physical therapy." Didn't really talk about what that was going to involve, but he said, "You're going to need physical therapy, and it's going to be at least a year, and you will probably never compete in skating or play soccer or anything to the caliber that you were again." So as a 14-year-old girl who literally just got started in some of these sports and was really enjoying them, that was soul crushing to hear. So it was a pretty miserable time, but then we turned a corner and I went back to the same office that I shadowed at, and I think they kind of remembered me and I think they remembered that I said it wasn't for me. And I don't know if they were determined to change my mind. I like to believe that they were just the most wonderful physical therapists, but I did spend a very long time with them. So I started my rehab, and within 6 months under their care, I was actually back to pretty much doing everything that I loved. So that's when I started to see, okay, this might be for me. It's not just kind of giving people exercises and doing evaluations. There's a lot more that went into it, especially because the therapists that I had were big pillars in our community. I'm from a very small town, but Jen reminds me a lot of them because I know a lot of you have known her for a very long time, and that's similar to how they were. So a lot of people knew them for a very long time. You would see them at church, you would see them at the grocery store, you would just see them out and about. So it was nice knowing that I had a provider who was truly in my corner and, you know, who wanted to be there. I remember one of the days they were closed on Thanksgiving and my therapist actually came in for me. So that was really what got my mindset into, let's go down this route. Let's go into physical therapy and try to be that same light in somebody else's life and try to make some of their darkest moments or, you know, their devastating blows better. That wasn't the end though. I did go back to sports, and the knee that I had rehabbed with them was actually stronger than my other leg, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this. I was back to soccer for about a year, maybe, give or take. It was hedging toward my senior year of high school now, and I blew out my other knee. So same thing, same surgery, except this time I started with physical therapy and it went pretty well. We thought we had it back up to par where it needed to be, and I got slide tackled by somebody else. For anybody who's played soccer, that's when somebody comes in and is trying to get the ball and catches your leg, and it just gave. So I spent another six-ish months with them, and at that point I was like, all right, I don't think you guys are getting rid of me. And I really started asking the questions that needed to be asked. Things like, where did you go to school? What do I need to know? What kind of program do I need to take? And they were wonderful coaches in that journey along with my parents. So that kind of brings us a little bit full circle. So now I was graduated high school and I went straight into my undergrad with the intent fully to go into physical therapy school always. I started at Gannon where my parents went. That was the only school I was going to go to, and completed my 4 years in sport and exercise science. So yes, Jen is absolutely right. Our passion does come from experience and our own pains in life. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It really is, because it's nice when you can find somebody that can relate to you and what you're going through. But so I did my 4 years of undergrad, I did my time, and then I was determined that the only school that I was going to go to for physical therapy school was exactly where my therapist went. And I got in, and that was pretty much that. I immediately went the following fall, started my regimen, and as you're going through PT school, you start to realize that there are a lot of different facets to physical therapy. I feel like there's a large misunderstanding now in medicine, in the community in general, about what physical therapy is. And I know Jen's talked about this in previous live video feeds, but it doesn't always have to be a reactive situation to why you're getting physical therapy. So a lot of people do come post-op or after an injury, but it can be preventative as well. And there's cardiac rehab, there's pediatric rehab, there's geriatric rehab. So there's a lot of different levels, like an onion, to physical therapy. And one of the beautiful things that our school did for us as students was essentially try to get you thinking before you graduate, okay, what path do I want to take? Do I want to go into women's health? Do I want to go into pediatrics? And for me, there was no question about it. It was orthopedics all the way. You know, I experienced it. I was on the other side. I was where a lot of you have been in being a patient. And I really wanted to be able to be there for other people who were going through something similar, whether it was their shoulder, their spine, their hip, it didn't matter. So I got a lot of training in manual techniques and different orthopedic skills. And I pretty much, once I graduated, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing the outpatient orthopedics. So that kind of brings us to, why the knees? And the easy answer is because that's what I had experience with. But the more lengthy answer is that I did not realize when I was injured truly how much your knee joints impact your daily living and how much you actually do with your knees. I mean, I feel like a lot of people know your brain's important, your organs are important, your spinal cord is important. All of your joints truly are important. But when it comes to the lower body, when it comes to things like walking up and down the stairs, walking in general, athletics, your knees are really that center point. They're between your hip and your ankle. And I would venture to say that most people at some point in their life do have knee pain, whether that's coming from a specific injury like mine or arthritis, or maybe they have a little bit of an instability or a weakness. And I feel like people think that that's just how it's supposed to be, that you get older and that you have this knee pain, and that's not always the case. So that being said, there's a lot that we can do to treat knee pain. And I want to be that person that people see first, because I don't want the first thing that they hear when they have knee pain or a knee injury to be that you will never do X, Y, and Z again. You'll never run again. You'll never, play with your grandkids again. I don't want that to be the first thing that people hear, because it's not true. There are definitely time and place for surgery. Absolutely. But more often than not, a lot of the problems that people have can be treated with physical therapy, can be managed, and we can reduce your pain. And it's such a critical piece to the puzzle that oftentimes I feel like people think just isn't, they don't think of it. It's not the first thing on their mind. So I'm here to essentially tell you that if you're experiencing knee pain, whether it's a serious knee pain, whether it's a chronic knee pain, whether it's brand new knee pain, come see me, because I want to be able to tell you to look at it and to tell you that it's going to be okay and we're going to figure it out together. Now, we are hosting one of our very first wellness classes in our new space, where I'm actually going to be talking in depth about what makes up your knee joint, what musculature surrounds it, how the ligaments interplay, how the hip and the ankle, you're so welcome, Pam, how the hip and the ankle intermix, how walking, running, different athletics are involved, what you can expect a general course of knee rehab to look like. And we'll also be doing screens as well at the event for anybody who's experiencing knee pain. So even if it's not you, if you know somebody, please have them come out and come see me. But yeah, it's a passion of mine, and physical therapy in general is a passion of mine. As I get older, as I get more in this profession, even when I was studying in school, the reasons changed. At first I thought I was going to be helping student athletes, and I do, but that's definitely not the only thing. Sometimes therapy is all encompassing, and we always want to treat you as the whole person. So part of my reason for physical therapy is also because there are, in the US and in other countries and all over the world, there's a deficit and there's a void to fill in medicine. And it's something that we as physical therapists are really primed to do. And it's a beautiful relationship. So I know that was a very general overlook into just kind of what happened, how I got on this path. But I hope that I can provide some hope for anybody who maybe thinks that their knee pain is going to derail everything that they've had going for them, because that's not the case. And like Jen said, so she just put it down there, February 23rd. That's going to be that knee class and screening event. So please do come. I'm always happy to talk about even more about why physical therapy and just some of the manual classes or where I went to school, really anything. I love talking about it because for me, it doesn't feel like a job. And I'm very excited to meet more of you and get into the community. I hope if you ever see me out, please don't feel nervous to approach me, because that was another reason why I chose PT. You know, I didn't want to be a provider that you just saw in the office, and you know, if you saw me in the grocery store or something, you felt like you couldn't come up to me. So please absolutely do. Trying to think if there was anything else we needed to discuss. I think a lot of people want the knee anatomy stuff, but it is going to take a longer time than this to talk about that kind of stuff. So look forward to that class. We'll be going over some of the common injuries like meniscus tears post-op for some of our patients who, like Lori said, just had knee surgery. And yeah, it's been great chatting with you all. Thanks for bearing with me during my first live. I'm sure you'll be seeing my face more. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And we'll hopefully see you for the class.